MAC address filtering. You've seen it in pretty much every router's settings, right? And it kind of feels like you're adding a solid layer of security. But is it? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this super common feature and find out if it's the security fortress we all think it is, or maybe just a fence with a wide open gate.
Now, just so you know where we're coming from, this is part 8 of a 10-part series we're doing. It's all based on a really fantastic, in-depth report that's geared specifically for wireless technicians. Today, we're digging into Chapter 8, which is all about access control.
And this is our source material right here, the special report from the RFI detectives, who are part of Virtualization Options LLC. Everything we're going to talk about comes straight from their excellent research and analysis.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll cover the basics. What even is MAC filtering? Then, we're going to tackle that big security myth head on. After that, we'll look at where it's actually useful, talk about the real-world headaches it can cause, and finally, we'll get into the much better, modern ways to control network access.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. What in the world is MAC filtering? Well, the easiest way to think about it is like having a bouncer for your Wi-Fi network. But instead of checking a driver's license, it's checking a device's unique hardware signature at layer 2.
You see, every single device that can connect to a network, your phone, your laptop, even your smart toaster, has something called a MAC address. It's basically the serial number for its network hardware, a unique 48-bit ID that's burned in at the factory. It's meant to be its permanent physical address.
Now, when you're setting this up, you've got two main options. You can use a whitelist, which is like a strict VIP-only guest list. If your device's MAC address isn't on that list, you are not getting in, period. The other option is a blacklist. This is more like a bouncer blocking one or two specific troublemakers. Only the devices on this list get blocked, and everybody else can come on in. All right, so this brings us right to the heart of the matter, the security myth. Why is this feature that sounds so secure actually a really bad way to protect a network?
Let's just ask the question directly. For you, as a technician in the field, is this the tool you should be reaching for to really lock down a network?
And the answer, in no uncertain terms, is a hard no. It's just not an effective security control, not by a long shot.
Look, you don't have to take my word for it. The RFI detectives report is crystal clear about this. This quote says it all. It should never be your main line of defense. And the reason why? Well, it's actually shockingly simple. It's called MAC spoofing, and it's ridiculously easy to do. First, an attacker just listens in on the Wi-Fi traffic. Your MAC address is flying through the air unencrypted. They just sniff out a valid MAC from a device that's already connected. Second, they use free, easy-to-find software to just change their device's MAC address to the one they just found, and boom, that's it. Step 3, their device now looks totally legitimate, and the filter lets them right in. The bouncer just got fooled. Okay, so if it's a total failure for security, should we just forget it exists? Well, not entirely. We just need to change how we think about it. MAC filtering isn't a security tool, it's a management tool. And in that specific role, it actually has some pretty legitimate uses. So here's where it does make sense. Let's say you want to make sure only specific company-owned devices are connecting. Great. Or you want to lock down access for some simple IoT devices that never change. Perfect. You can also use a blacklist to temporarily kick a malfunctioning device off the network while you troubleshoot it. And some routers even let you use it for things like time-based rules, to kick the kids' devices off the Wi-Fi after 10 p.m. But, and this is a big but, even when you're using it for those legitimate reasons, there's a huge catch. For you, the technician doing the work, it's the administrative burden. The day-to-day reality of managing these lists can become an absolute nightmare. And this slide just perfectly captures the pain. Every single time a new device is added, you have to get its MAC address and type it in manually. You'll get constant phone calls from users asking, "What's a MAC address? Where do I find it?" Someone gets a new laptop. Well, they can't connect until you update the list. For any network that isn't tiny, just keeping this database of addresses accurate can feel like a full-time job. And speaking of scale, here's the nail in the coffin. Most of the routers you'll find in homes and small businesses can only handle a tiny number of MAC addresses in their filter list. We're talking maybe 32, or if you're lucky, up to 256. For any real business, you're going to hit that limit in no time. It just doesn't scale. So if MAC filtering is a security risk and a management headache, what should we be using instead? Well, thankfully, we have much better tools in our kit today for properly securing wireless networks.
This chart really tells the whole story, doesn't it? Take a look at MAC filtering. Security is low, scalability is poor, and management is a huge pain. Now compare that to something modern like WPA3. You get high security with strong encryption, it scales perfectly, and management is super low, it's just one passphrase. And then you have the gold standard, 802.1x for enterprise. Security is incredibly high because it's based on who the user is, not what device they have. It's totally scalable and managed centrally. It's not even a fair fight.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. As we're out there building the networks of today and for the future, and we've got these powerful tools like WPA3 and 802.1x, is there really any good reason to be using MAC filtering on a brand new network? It's a tool from a different time, and honestly, knowing when to leave old tools behind is what makes a great technician.